Does Hopper's K5 Chevy Blazer look more iconic than Nancy Wheeler's Colony Park? Or do you think the 1979 Chevy Camaro Z/28 that Billy Hargrove drove was cooler than Steve Harrington's 1981 BMW 733i? So, let's go down the list and find out.
So my point is, right, yeah, we're on the bench, so there's nothing we can do.
1979 Chevy Camaro Z/28. If you didn't know anything about Stranger Things and I asked you what kind of character would be driving this car in high school, you'd either say a jock or a bully. Well, Billy Hargrove's Camaro in Stranger Things is more than just a flashy set piece. The Camaro is a perfect physical expression of his personality. The second-generation muscle car that oozes attitude and menace. The car's aggressive styling, like its low stance, sporty spoiler, and bold body lines, perfectly mirrors Billy's brash, alpha bully energy. Under the hood, that Camaro isn't a monster by modern standards, but it's still formidable for its era. It's powered by a 5.7-liter, 350 cubic inches, small block V8, producing about 175 horsepower and 270 pound-feet of torque in the manual transmission version. With that setup, it could sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in roughly 7.8 seconds, per period spec sheets. In the show, the Camaro becomes a symbol of Billy's danger. He uses it not just to bully classmates, but, in a darker turn, to terrorize when he's possessed. And it's literally destroyed in a climactic crash, just like you should destroy that like button if you haven't already. Okay, moving on. 1980 K5 Chevy Blazer. And if I asked you the same question and showed you a picture of this car, you'd say some middle-aged beer drinker. And you'd be right again. Jim Hopper's sweet, sweet ride, the beige 1980 Chevy K5 Blazer, is like a four-wheeled version of the man himself. Rugged, no-nonsense, and built to endure. As Hawkins' tough but caring police chief, Hopper needs more than just style. He needs a vehicle that reflects his grit, and the Blazer delivers. With its blocky, old-school SUV look, it oozes masculine strength, and its spacious cabin gives the show plenty of room for those scenes of Hopper carrying gear or driving with friends. Mechanically, the second-generation K5 Blazer, 1973 to 1991, came with several engine options, including a 5.7-liter, 350 cubic inches, V8 that produces around 175 horsepower and 275 pound-feet of torque, according to period factory data. It rides on a 106.5-inch wheelbase and, critically for Hopper's duties, it has a part-time four-wheel drive system via a NP205 transfer case on many models. That four-wheel drive setup makes it capable of tackling tough terrain or snowy back roads, which is exactly the kind of dependable vehicle you'd expect from a seasoned small-town sheriff. 1984 Cadillac Eldorado, stolen. And what does an alcoholic cop with a no-BS attitude do when his previous ride is engulfed in a blazing inferno? He steals the next best car he can find. After Hopper's K5 Blazer goes up in flames during that wild Season 3 chase, he does what any cinematic cop might. He commandeers a car from a passerby. And that conveniently happens to be a beige 1984 Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz convertible. Now, we get it. This is a sharp contrast to his grizzled Blazer. But remember, this isn't toughness so much as a moment of escape, of comfort, now that Hopper has changed after his time in the Soviet prison. The Eldorado Biarritz of that era was peak 80s luxury. Plush, button-tufted leather seats, automatic climate control, AM/FM cassette radio, and a powered soft top. Under the hood sits a 4.1-liter HT4100 V8 that produces 135 horsepower at 4,400 revolutions per minute and 200 pound-feet of torque at 2,200 revolutions per minute. Power is delivered via a 4-speed automatic to the front wheels. Now, remember, this is not a sports car, so the 0 to 60 miles per hour sprint takes around 12.6 seconds. But honestly, for Hopper, it's not about speed. The Eldorado gives him a rare moment of elegance and freedom, a plush ride for a man who's been through hell.
Jerry! Slurpee!
1981 BMW 733. Steve Harrington's 1981 BMW 733 is one of the coolest Stranger Things cars because it instantly tells you who Steve is at the start of the series. Wealthy, popular, and cruising through high school life with effortless confidence. While Jonathan Byers rolls around in a beat-up ride, Steve shows up in a full-fledged luxury sedan. This is the kind of car only a well-off Hawkins family would hand to their teenage son. The 733 is part of BMW's first-generation 7 Series, the brand's flagship line from 1977 to 1986. And in the early 80s, nothing in the BMW lineup was more upscale. Steve's car runs on a 3.2-liter inline-six, making 194 horsepower and 206 pound-feet of torque, and with its 4-speed manual, it could hit 62 miles per hour in 8.9 seconds and top out at 127 miles per hour. Quick enough for a high school king, and who knows, maybe even fast enough to outrun a Demogorgon. But the car's real flex was its luxury. This 7 Series came loaded with features like power windows, central locking, leather trim, cruise control, heated seats, an electric sunroof, automatic AC, and even rear seat ventilation. It was also the first BMW to offer ABS, giving Steve not just status, but seriously advanced tech for its time. Now compare that to Barbara Holland's VW.
Whoa, hey, I don't think so. Any of you little shits die down here, I'm getting the blame. Got it, dipshit?
1988 VW Cabrio Barb is framed as the uncool, responsible friend, yet she's driving a chic little convertible that subtly hints at her upper-middle-class background. That contrast makes the car feel almost like an inside joke from the show's creators. The exact cabriolet used on screen is actually a 1988 model, something fans quickly spotted thanks to its plastic bumpers and smaller inner headlights. That's a bit of a timeline slip, since Season 1 takes place in 1983, and by 1985, Volkswagen had already renamed the old Rabbit convertible to the Cabriolet. But accurate or not, the car fits Barb perfectly. Practical, modestly stylish, and nowhere near the performance machines the other Hawkins teens drive. Early 80s cabriolets weren't built for speed anyway. The 1980 base model carried a 1.6-liter engine with 76 horsepower, delivering a 0 to 60 time of about 12.8 seconds. Buyers who wanted more punch could step up to a 1.8-liter, 90-horsepower version borrowed from the Rabbit GTI. No matter the engine, every cabriolet got the signature Carmen-designed body and its neatly folding cloth top.
There's no stairs, there's no exit, there's just an elevator that drops you halfway to hell.
Lonnie Byers' Oldsmobile 442. Even though this car was in the show for a very short time, it immediately left a mark as one of the coolest cars on the show. Now, we know that Jonathan and Will's estranged dad wasn't much of a success, so the fact that he had this muscle car was perfect. You see, Lonnie's Oldsmobile 442 perfectly captured the man's self-absorbed nature. He wants to appear as a successful man who drives a very nice car. But deep down, he knows he's a deadbeat who was never there for his children. And that's all you need to know about bad parenting.
Just look around at this place. All your Christmas lights. The hell am I supposed to think? You're such a great mom? You're a mess!
1984 VW Vanagon. Argyle's 1980 Volkswagen Vanagon might be the most perfectly cast vehicle in all of Stranger Things. He rolls into Season 4 as the ultimate laid-back California vibe. It's a goofy, good-natured surfer dude who takes life one puff and one pizza delivery at a time. And the car that would perfectly match his attitude is the VW Vanagon. The Vanagon is the spiritual successor to the iconic VW Type 2 bus, so it carries that same hippie, free-spirited aesthetic that instantly tells you what kind of person drives it. The Vanagon lineup originally used small, air-cooled flat-4 engines ranging from 1.6 to 2.0 liters, and while we can't say exactly which one Argyle's Surfer Boy pizza van had, none of them were fast. Even the 2.0-liter version tested by Car and Driver in 1980 wasn't quick, but it cruised smoothly on the highway. Honestly, it feels like the most Argyle thing possible, slow, steady, and blissfully unbothered. Volkswagen later swapped the air-cooled motors for water-cooled ones with mixed reliability, and the Vanagon family has since evolved all the way into the electric ID Buzz. But Argyle's boxy yellow van? That's pure retro charm.
I know, I don't know what to do.
Palm tree to light, that's what you gotta do.
Palm tree to light?
Go. Ándale.
Really?
Ándale, arriba.
1971 Ford LTD. Jonathan Byer's 1970 Ford LTD is the kind of car that doesn't just look tired, it also feels tired. Every LTD of that era came with a V8, which sounds impressive until you remember the reality of the late 70s and early 80s. Giant engines, yes, but not much power for their size, and fuel economy that didn't care whether gas was hovering around 80 cents or creeping past $1. Still, that low fuel price made these land yachts strangely practical for broke teens. Jonathan's LTD isn't glamorous, but that's the point. It's the anti-Steve Harrington car. There's no luxury, no gloss, just a beat-up sedan that gets him to school, to work, and occasionally into the upside down. It tells you exactly where he comes from before he ever says a word.
Not like hard plastic, just the soft kind.
Total.
1976 Ford Pinto. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you like the video so far. While the kids chase monsters and mysteries, Joyce is grinding through life as a single mom, barely holding things together, and her car reflects that reality perfectly. The Pinto was Ford's subcompact workhorse from 1971 to 1980, cheap to buy and cheap to run, which is exactly what someone in Joyce's financial situation would have needed. Of course, the Pinto carries its own sad little legend. Its rear-mounted fuel tank design made it infamous for catching fire in severe rear-end collisions. It's one of the most notorious automotive safety scandals in American history, and that shadow gives Joyce's car an almost symbolic weight.
We have had a very long day. We have been shot at, nearly blown up, walked God knows how many miles in 100-degree heat.
1987, Mercury Grand Marquis, Colony Park. Nancy Wheeler's 1987 Mercury Grand Marquis Colony Park isn't just a car. It's Nancy Wheeler's double nature. With one hand, she's gripping the vast faux wood steering wheel of her conservative family wagon, and with the other, she's ready to load a shotgun and chase monsters into the night. It's the perfect visual contradiction. And the only thing that we can say about the Colony Park is that it's enormous, even by 80s standards. It measures 218 inches long and 79.3 inches wide. Basically, a rolling living room with enough fake wood paneling to make a lumberjack blush. And under that mile-long hood sits a 5.0-liter V8, making 160 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque. And it weighs so much that it has its own gravitational pull.
And this is a recommendation from Professor Brightly.
Thanks for watching. Here's another video car enthusiasts loved watching.